Yo, yo, yo. Good morning to my freedom marchers, freedom family, freedom lovers, and freedom fighters, and all those who haven't taken that first step yet. One day you might. One day you might. And then you'll be on that road to freedom, y'all. How y'all doing this morning on this Wednesday? What's the Wednesday, the 30th of July, 2025, man. Time is flying, ain't it? Time is flying, and times are interesting. But we're going to get into some very interesting news regarding Israel and the Palestinians. See, there is something horrible going on in the Gaza Strip at this moment. And it's not just, the conflict. Well, it actually stems from the conflict. It's not mere physical violence from Israel. It's also now that the people in Gaza are facing mass famine. They're facing mass famine because they have been cut off during this war. They have been cut off from trade. They've been cut off from aid, all manner of things. They are trapped in Gaza. Their aid is getting cut off, right? Humanitarian aid coming from, different countries is not being allowed to reach the people. That is what's going on right now in the Gaza Strip. Many, many people, many Palestinians are now facing starvation. And it's because the aid have not been reaching them. Now, there were reports and stories out there that were saying that, it was Hamas, right? Hamas was stealing the aid and not allowing the Palestinians, the civilians, to get said aid. But an analysis performed by the USAID conflicts with that report. It tells a different story. It says that no, Hamas has not been taking and stealing and intercepting the aid that has been sent and meant for the civilian people who have a hard time getting food and water, getting access to food and clean water. They have been deprived of this for months. Salute to everybody coming in the building, y'all. Y'all hit the like button, please. Zaid, salute to you. And the reason that this is happening is because Israel is not allowing a lot of the aid to reach the Palestinians. And not just that. It's not just that they are intercepting, people and preventing them from bringing aid. They're also destroying aid stations. They're killing people at aid stations. They are targeting aid stations. That's what Israel is doing. And when you target an aid station, which is meant for the civilians who are non-participants in your war, that is a war crime. And it is a crime against humanity. But no one is doing anything about it, right? We know what's going on. We know what's happening. We know that Israel is committing war crimes against the Palestinian people. We know that they're committing war crimes against other countries. But because no one cares about these countries and because no one really cares about the people, they get away with it. Or more like, no one wants to hold Israel accountable. So, and look, Israel has not only destroyed aid stations, right? They have destroyed schools that they were using as triage centers and hospitals, basically clinics for injured individuals in Palestine, and they bombed the shit out of this one school because they said, oh, well, they're harboring terrorists. But there are people, there are women and children, non-participants within this school, and there are elderly people and injured individuals, and injured, you might have some injured soldiers, right? Some injured Hamas soldiers or whatever, getting treatment in this hospital. So they just said, or in this school. So they say, you know what, we'll just bomb the school. You know what I'm saying? To get to a few injured Palestinian soldiers, and say, oh well, they're using the civilians as human shields. Well, they wouldn't have to use them as human shields, as you say, if you did not target that location. So, with the Geneva Convention, and you are in war, you are not supposed to target aid stations. You're not supposed to target, medical facilities, right? Or facilities that are being used as, wartime hospitals and whatnot. Even if you have enemy soldiers getting treatment within those places, you're not supposed to target. But Israel has been targeting them. These are war crimes. This is why they're saying that Benjamin Nosferatu should be, placed under arrest for war crimes, right? This is what's happening. So the Palestinian people in Gaza are facing mass starvation because, once again, they're cut off from the world. They're cut off from a world that wants to help them. They're cut off from the world that wants to feed, make sure that the women and children and other non-participants of this war can survive and make it through. But they have been denied for the most part. Not only denied, but aid stations being destroyed. There were, I reported on a story where I think there were like 6 people killed at an aid station trying to get aid. They just blew up the aid station. Like, this is what they're doing. They don't give a hot damn about the collateral damage, the unnecessary collateral damage. They don't care about the women. They don't care about the children. They have killed, how many Palestinians have died? About 60-something thousand. I think it's more than that now. Many of them, I think in about I've got the exact number, but more than 10,000 children have been killed. More than 10,000 Palestinian children. And we give Israel billions of dollars a year. They use our weapons, our technology, and our resources to wage this war, to do what they're doing against the Palestinian people. And we still give them what they want. We still coddle them. We still treat them like they can't be held responsible for anything, or like they've done nothing wrong. That's how we treat Israel. We treat Israel like we'll get a spanking if we do anything. Well, aren't we more powerful than Israel? Aren't we, aren't we more technologically advanced? What do we get from Israel? Right? We give them so much. How have they helped us? They're supposed to be our number one ally, but what have they aligned with us against? What are they doing for us? Other than running the banks, running the entertainment industry, right? Well, that's all they need to do. to maintain a level of control of the United States and other countries. No one is going to spank Israel as long as the United States backs them in everything they do. And if you speak out against them, you're anti-Semitic, you're this, you're that. When in reality, I'm just pro individual freedom. You know, Palestine is a sovereign nation, right? Palestine is a sovereign nation. Israel's a sovereign nation in and of itself. And yes, it appears, it is reported that Hamas invaded Israel and commenced to slaughtering about 200 and something people and kidnapping others. This is what was reported. I don't know how they got through all the defenses. I don't know how they parachuted in, but that's what happened. These motherfuckers parachuted in with weapons. It makes very little sense to me how they were able to get that far. But this is what the world knows and believes happened on October 7th. And ever since then, Israel has been going in. They've been going in. They have retaliated. They have gotten more than enough of what they were dealt. But now they continue on. They have expanded their campaign. You know what I'm saying? We know all the things that Israel has done. They expanded their campaign into Lebanon, Syria, right? And then they attacked Iran. Unprovoked. And because of the actions of the Israeli government, let me be very clear. Because of the actions of the Israeli government, led by Benjamin Nosferatu, we are now seeing a country where its people is facing famine, where before they were not. They were not. If a terrorist group enters into another country and commits terrorist acts, you take out your retaliation, you take out that frustration, you get back at the terrorist group. You root them out. You target them, right? You don't make the people within the country they come from suffer when they have nothing to do with what Hamas did, right? Nothing to do at all whatsoever. Oh, well, Hamas runs the country and they're using civilians as human shields and protect themselves. Well, okay, so now you got to quit being lazy. And you got to be more surgical with. You have to be more surgical and precise with how you get back at them, right? Because again, you're talking about children and women and non-participants. Now, if you just don't give a fuck about these people and you want them all to pay, well, that's probably what it is, right? That's probably the reality of what's going on here. Is that certain members of the Israeli government despise Palestine, right? They feel like Palestine is taking up residence where they shouldn't be, right? They want that whole entire region. You know, that's why they took the Golan Heights in the first place, right? Because they feel like, well, this is our shit. You know, we're the chosen people. So, you know, they feel like they were chosen by God to inherit the earth. And so they're running with it, right? All they needed was an October 7th to occur, which, you know, it might be equivalent to their 9/11, for them to do what they're doing. We hope, but we know what happened with 9/11, right? We invaded Afghanistan. We invaded Iraq because of it. But we lied. Our country lied about why they entered into Iraq, why they invaded Iraq, why they decided to attack Iraq. Right? We invaded Afghanistan in the first place because of 9/11, right? Because they said Obama or Osama bin Laden was the mastermind behind 9/11. Even though the majority of the terrorists, the so-called terrorists that were flying those planes and on those planes and participated in the terrorist act were Saudi Arabian. They were Saudi Arabian. And what did we do in reaction to that? What did we do in Iraq? What did we do in Afghanistan? Well, we utterly destroyed the entire country of Iraq. We disrupted its culture. We disrupted its people, killed millions of people. We took their leader and basically lynched him, right? Saddam Hussein, we lynched him. We literally lynched Saddam Hussein. Hung him on camera. We hung Saddam Hussein, who we lied about 3 different times in order to invade his country and to dethrone him and to kill him. We said they were harboring Osama bin Laden. That didn't work out for them, did it? We said that he was nerve gassing his own people. That's what we said. We said that Osama bin Laden, we said Saddam Hussein was gassing his own people. That turned out to be a lie. We said Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. That was a fucking lie too. We lied about, we told 3 different lies about Saddam. And then what did it become about? Oh, well, geez, we want to spread democracy. We want to spread democracy across the Middle East because they're being treated so poorly by their leaders. They're living under this, Sharia law and all this, and the women are being treated poorly and horribly. Well, how is that working out for Afghanistan right now? We were over there for 20 years. Right? We occupied Afghanistan for 20 years. We couldn't fuck it up like we fucked up Iran because of the terrain and because of how entrenched the people were. We went over there to spread democracy at the end of the day, right? While guarding the poppy fields that we used to create the opioid problem. But that's another story. We went over there, we fucked around in Afghanistan for 20 some odd years. Right? We elevated the women up. We gave them purpose. We gave, oh look, you're free now. You can be you can do what you want. And then what did we do? What did we do? We hightailed it out of there. We hightailed it out of there and left $80 billion plus worth of military equipment. We left an airstrip that we took over a decade to build and modernize and all that other shit. We left it to the Taliban and Al Qaeda, whatever the fuck, one of them motherfuckers. And now they're right back where they started. How is it spreading democracy over in Afghanistan? How's that working out now? The least strategic pullouts that you ever saw. It's like when I had my 3rd kid. It was worse than that pullout strategy that I had when I got my wife pregnant for the 3rd time. Yeah, I was pulling out every time. I was pulling out every time. But guess what? Not fast enough and not strategically enough. Now we got 6 kids. I'm just trying to say. The pullout strategy for Afghanistan was worse than my pull-out strategy for my last 4 kids. Now, am I blessed to have those 4 children? Those 4 more children? I'm blessed with 6 children. Blessed with 6 children, but nonetheless, pull-out strategy was horrible. Pull-out strategy was horrible. But you know, when it's good, it's hard to do it. It's hard to pull it out. Well, how good was Afghanistan in those poppy fields? Well, we know now, don't we? We create the opioid crisis. The proliferation of opioids in medicine just so happened to correlate with us occupying Afghanistan. And then we pull out. And now we got an opioid crisis like never seen before. Now, we had the opioid crisis before. But all these things tie together. Now, we got mass starvation occurring in Palestine and in Gaza. All those people, all those relatively innocent people, all those individuals that had nothing to do with Hamas doing anything. See, how would we like it if, you know how we like, our government, we like to go around policing the world, telling these countries what they can and can't do. And we like to bomb people and do these different things, right? That's what we like to do. Well, the reason we're so insulated from it as American citizens is because no other country that we fuck with has the capabilities that could even get past any defense we have. Unless we dropped our guard on purpose because we wanted to initiate something and we needed a tragedy to make it happen, right? Like 9/11. Imagine, and that's, you can say that's what happened with 9/11, right? Those terrorists that did 9/11, they decided, no, we're not going to target any military bases. We're not going to target any military installations. We're not going to target, we're going to target a government building, but we are going to slaughter thousands of people that have nothing to do with the government because America is going around bullying us. So you could say that has happened. You could say that if you didn't look into 9/11 and do your research and find out what really happened there. If you exercise a little common sense and looked at things and looked at the reports, looked at the 9/11 Commission and find out what really happened, you find out how certain individual of Israeli descent took out an insurance policy on those Twin Towers 1 year before, or months before, not even months before, I think. But that's a whole nother story as well. That's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. Yes, the owner. Jetta Pro, exactly.
Police reported.
Was it the day before? I forgot exactly. I knew it was unusually soon, but before it happened. I'm not sure if it was a day before. I don't know if that would. All I know is that if you look at the commission, if you look at the videos, if you understand how these buildings were structured, you would understand that there's a lot of fishy shit going on. If you look at how there was a training, right? They had a training event in those buildings a couple weeks before it happened where they had, you know, they were training to sniff out bombs, right? That's what they were training to do. Right before it happened. And if you understand anything about, you know, if you understand anything about physics and how these buildings work, like the towers are made out of reinforced concrete and steel columns. That if you fly a plane into the top part, it's not going to make the entire building topple and collapse in it. Not even topple, collapse in and of itself. Collapse in on itself. Straight down, free fall. But, you know, hey, I'm sounding too much like a conspiracy theorist. I'm sounding like a conspiracy theorist because I understand how this shit works, being in construction. I know how jet fuel, because I researched it. The jet fuel would not have been able. They tried to tell you that the jet fuel and the debris and the fiery debris traveled into the basement, right? All the basement levels. They had molten steel down there in the basement after they got in there and cleared the debris and looked down there. It was still burning. Molten steel. And they want you to believe that a jumbo jet that collided with the top third of the building created enough heat to travel down, melt all these columns, just so that it collapsed in on itself, and down in the elevator pit, way down, you have molten metal collecting, and then they couldn't explain where all the thermite residue came from. What was it? Well, is there thermite in jet fuel? Why was there thermite residue in the lobby? So let's say jet fuel had thermite in it for whatever reason. Okay.
Police reported ahead.
How would that travel all the way down to the lobby and you have that residue of the thermite in the? Just help me understand it. What I'm trying to tell y'all is this. It was very convenient. Oh shit, what the hell's going on? Very convenient that it's very convenient. So if you look at the Pentagon, right? I know I was talking about Israel, but I'm just telling you guys, when these people have agendas,
on road reported ahead.
When these people have goals and agendas in place and they want certain things to happen, they will do whatever it takes, and they don't care about their own people. They don't care about the other countries' people. Let me tell y'all. Who was it? It wasn't Donald Rumsfeld. It was the other guy. No, it wasn't Dick Cheney. It was Donald Rumsfeld, who said that the Pentagon lost trillions of dollars. The Pentagon lost trillions of dollars. And then, not too long after that, 9/11 happens. And it wasn't just the Twin Towers that were targeted. Remember? The Pentagon was targeted. The Pentagon was targeted. And the jet basically left a perfect hole, a perfectly round hole in the side of the Pentagon, penetrated 3 or 4 layers of walls and destroyed the area in which the records for that money was kept. Now, if you look at it, those jets, the noses of those jets, are designed to collapse on impact. They're designed to collapse. So, how would a jumbo jet with a blunt nose that's designed to collapse penetrate all those reinforced walls in the Pentagon and leave a perfect round hole? Jeddah Pro says he knows what I know. He says he is an Afghan and he worked with them. You worked with who? I can see smoke coming through your car. What? Oh, it's not smoke. That's like fog. No, there's no smoke. Oh, the Marines? So, listen. I know, I sound like a conspiracy theorist. But these are realities if you look it up. Just look it up. Those jets, they would collapse. They're not going to penetrate multiple reinforced walls in a building like the Pentagon. Okay? And then the way that the hole was made, it was like, okay, so if a jumbo jet flies into the side of that building, right? It's a 1-story building. It came in perfectly level to leave that hole. To leave that hole, those multiple holes through multiple layers, it was basically perfectly level. And you would have to be like one of the best aircraft pilots in the world to pull that off without destroying all those light poles and all that shit leading up to where that strike happened. I'm just saying. These are things that I've researched years ago. Almost 20 years ago. Almost 20 years ago. I researched this stuff. And beyond that, of course. 20 years ago. You know, you look it up. Things come out. Information comes out. Reports come out. Witness statements comes out. Like that one guy. That one guy who was in Tower 7, right? The smaller building. Y'all remember that building? No one really talks about that building. That was not hit, but somehow fell into its own footprint. Well, how would that happen if it wasn't struck by any airplane or any parts of the other building? How would that happen? No one wants to talk about Tower 7. That fell that for no fucking reason at all whatsoever. There was a man, a black man, who talked about it in an interview, and he was talking about some guy that I forgot exactly what happened, but he talked about these secondary and tertiary explosions that happened. Hours, because remember Tower 7 fell hours after the first two fell, the twins. So he's talking about these secondary and tertiary explosions that happened hours after the plane struck before Tower 7 fell, because he had to get out of there. He had to somehow get out. I forgot, some guy helped him or something. I forgot exactly what went on. But he talked about that. He talked about how there were tertiary and secondary explosions that rocked Tower 7 after he got out or whatever. And the man died shortly after that interview. He was killed. But he ain't the only one. He ain't the only one that was killed after he gave conflicting information in their discussions and in their interviews. Just saying, y'all. Jetta Pro says, Nicholas, you said next false flag is an alien invasion. I wouldn't be surprised they're talking about that right now. They're talking about an incoming alien invasion from a hostile species. That's what they're talking about now. I need to look a little bit into it. Now, do I believe that there is no such thing as life outside of this planet, whatever? No, that would be very arrogant, right? How arrogant would it be of us to believe that, oh yeah, we're the only planet that has life forms, intelligent life form, in the entire universe? That would be very arrogant. The Earth cannot be the only, what they call that, Goldilocks zone planet in the galaxy or in the universe. The only problem is traveling, right? Space travel. Traveling through from different galaxies to another galaxy. The level of technology they say you would need is unfathomable. Even though we imagine it and they tell stories about it in movies and whatnot, in books. But this is what they tell us. This is what NASA tells us. They tell us that we don't have no capability to travel faster than the speed of light. And they tell us that there is a such thing as the speed of light, and that light travels at so much speed, and that's why when you see a star, you're not seeing the star as it looks right now. You're seeing it billions and billions of years into the future. That's what they're saying. By the time you see what you're seeing, billions of years have passed from the point of where the origin of that light to it reaching your eyes. They're saying, oh, well, it takes billions of years for that to happen. This is what they're telling you. So that means that, well, you're seeing this light. You're seeing this star. It looks like this right now. You're just seeing the light from the star. So if you were to go to where that star was, it would take you billions of years. That's what they tell you. That's what they tell you. Well, how do I know that? Why should I believe them? I know I'm going off in all different directions. Oh well. That's what it turned into. Because they told us that we landed on the moon. They can tell us, oh yeah, well, that light that you see coming from that ball out there in space, if that's a star that's billions of light years away, and yeah, we can't get to it. That light is reaching us because it traveled billions and billions and billions of miles, which would take billions of years and all this other shit, right? But y'all lost the technology to go back to the moon? Why haven't we been back on the moon? Oh, well, we lost the tech. That's what a NASA motherfucker said. Oh, yeah, we lost the technology. How? Okay, so you lost the technology. Well, they landed on the moon in the 60s, right? So you mean to tell me since the 60s, we haven't come up with better technology to get to the moon and stay there longer? They went to the moon in the 60s and came back. They traveled to the moon and traveled back in the 60s. But we can't do that right now. But we can send a rover up there to Mars. We can send a rover to Mars, but we can't send our own asses up there in our little special suits. Oh, look, we got a special suit with oxygen, and it's equipped to handle the atmosphere of Mars and the moon. But for whatever reason, we haven't sent a human ass to the Mars or to the moon, but we sent rovers. We sent rovers up there. Unmanned conveyances, unmanned bullshit. Right? That's what they say. But we don't yet have a fully functional and efficient unmanned vehicle running around on Earth right now. Do you see what I'm saying? They want us to believe they got this unmanned vehicle, that's this autonomous unmanned vehicle that was created in the 80s or 70s. They sent it to Mars. They sent it to the moon. But we just now started making unmanned vehicles to get around on Earth in the last decade. I mean, and where is these rovers getting the energy to fuel itself? It's fully electric, sure. So you mean to tell me that the sun can reach Mars and put a battery and recharge the battery of the rover, but it can't happen here on Earth? Yeah, we got solar panels that power houses and buildings, but we got to plug in our solar vehicles to get electricity to charge a battery. Help me understand who's performing the maintenance on these rovers that have been there for years and years and years. Google is my friend. Okay. They cost millions of dollars. Race to the moon. Okay, what is the race still going? Why haven't we been back to the moon yet? Why haven't we been back to the moon since those astronauts went there and had that camera filming the moon landing from the moon? They filmed the moon landing from the moon when the astronauts landed on the moon for the first time in human history. There were already cameras set up. Help me understand why we can't go back to the moon. Why haven't we been back there yet? But we send rovers. It costs millions of dollars. Okay, well, we give how many hundreds of millions of dollars to NASA each year? And all we get is pictures. Oh, look what the picture sent from our high-powered telescope. Oh, we've enhanced it, and we added color to make it look nice. Y'all know that those pictures of, all the galaxies and the stars and and all that shit. You know that they enhance those pictures. They digitally add shit to it. They put filters on it to make it look nice, to make it look like something. Man, listen, y'all. Listen, I'm just saying, we can't go back to the moon. It's just the moon. It's right there. The moon is close enough to pull the water to and from in the ocean. It creates the tide, right? The moon is close enough for its gravitational pull to affect the tides in the oceans. But we can't go up there right now. Help me understand what are we doing? What are we doing? Help me understand this shit. Okay, you keep saying Google is your friend, but tell me what I should be Googling. What the fuck we need to go to the moon for? Why did we go to the moon in the first place? What do you mean, what the fuck we need to go to the moon for? Science, motherfucker, what you mean? Exploration, right? What we need to go to the moon for? So that's the reason we shouldn't go to the moon again. Why did we go in the first place if we went? You're saying, what's the reason? Why does the government do anything? Why do we spend money on anything? Help me understand what your aversion to us going back to the moon is. What's the problem? We can't go back to the moon? We can't make that happen, Captain? What the problem, Meal? I'm just asking, when they said, nah, yeah, we can't go back because we lost the technology, how is that possible? How is that possible? But your thing is, hold on. Your thing is, hold on.
Are we digging, or do you need the hammer drill and chipping bit?
Probably gonna need both. Yeah, we're gonna need. Is that in the? What you got in the? All right. What you got? The hammer bit. You got the bits and whatnot.
I got the chipping bit.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna be doing all that. We're gonna dig, but you're not comfortable with digging that yet? The hill? Okay, yeah, we might do that first because they want us to do that. You know, for whatever reason they're rushing it. So hold on just a second. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here, y'all. But tell me why we can't go back to the moon if we've been there before. Oh, we lost the technology. We lost the technology, my ass. Anyway, free Palestine. Much love, like, share, subscribe. We're gonna keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace.